Hello Violin 2s, I hope you all are doing well today. The purpose of this video is to help you through some of the trickier passages of the Violin 2 part for Children's March. Because the piece is so fast, some of these parts can get really tricky, so just make sure to practice them slowly with the metronome until you can get them up to tempo for the YouTube part. And just a reminder, for the YouTube videos you can actually slow the speed down to 75%. And that'll make it slower and easier to hear your part and play along with it until you're able to do it at full speed. But for today I want to start at rehearsal 4, where we have these chords. I just want to give you a reminder about these chords, especially for Granger. We're going to play the lower 2 notes together and then the top 2. So what that's going to sound like for this first chord is like this. And then at faster it's... So instead of playing note by note, we're going to play the bottom 2 and the top note together. And then we're going to do that for all of these chords. So I'm going to start at rehearsal 4 and follow along. Just to make sure you have those notes right and the rhythms correct. So here we go. 1, 2, 1. Good job. So just make sure you play through those and get them up to tempo, and make sure that you're keeping all your notes correct. The next spot I want to work through is rehearsal number 6. We have some tricky rhythms in here that can be really difficult when we're playing at full speed. So go ahead and play this with me. Don't forget we start on the 8th note before 6, so I'll count us in there. 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's try that again. Rehearsal 6, 1, 2. There we go, that was better that time. And then we're going to go down to where we have that forte and the molto crescendo. This is 4 before 7. Let's play through that. 1, 2. Good job. A reminder for rehearsal 8. This is halfway down the 2nd page, or as it's marked, the 3rd page. Just be careful to know how many notes you're playing through that, because it can go pretty quick. And sometimes we have 2 measures of the same note, sometimes it's only 1 measure. And then we switch notes through that. So make sure those notes are correct and you know how many times you're playing with them. So just play that with the recording and make sure you have those right. And then at the top of page 4, when you're listening to the recording, it can sound like these are all 1 notes, so it sounds like... But just be careful because we have that 16th note tied into the quarter note, so it's really... Just be careful of that. And then I want to go to that run. That's 2 measures before rehearsal 10. The best way to practice runs is to go through and make sure you have all the notes correct really slowly, and then slowly move your metronome up, and then you can try some different patterns with it. So I'll show you what those are. Just go ahead and play through these runs with me to make sure you have all the notes right. So we start on a low 3 on the A string. Good job. So now we can start working on getting that faster. One of the ways that I like to practice this is by having the first note longer and then the second note shorter. So it'll sound something like this. And then once you get that down, you can reverse it so the first note's shorter and the second note's longer, like this. Something like that. And then once you have those patterns down, then you can start working on playing it quickly all together. So, and then the recording is even faster than that. So that'll be one of the spots where you'll have to practice a lot to make sure it's up to tempo, and just try to get all the notes in on that run. Working from there, we get to rehearsal 10. And this spot can be really tricky, especially with all the flats that we have and because it's so fast. So let's just play through some of this slowly and make sure we have all the notes right, and then you can work by yourselves to get it up to tempo. So you have this first chord. Make sure to shift here. Good. And then same thing with this passage at 11, just make sure you know how many notes you're playing of each. And then we have another small run there at the bottom of the page, the second measure from the last line. Let's play through that one just to make sure the notes are right. 1, 2. So that's another one that you all can practice. From there, let's work on the top of page 5. So this is 5 measures before rehearsal 12. There's a lot of accidentals in here, so I just want to make sure we are all playing the right notes. I'll play through this slowly and just follow along. 1, 2. And that's my bad. That first 8th note on that last measure is a D flat. So play through that with me again, this time with the right notes. 1, 2. There we go. And then the rest of the piece is pretty simple. Just make sure that you're counting your rests correctly. I know that we have a lot of the smaller notes. Just a reminder, you don't have to play those. Those are just cue notes so you can follow along in the music. So just make sure you're counting correctly and playing all those accidentals. But other than that, let me know if you have any questions and I can help you through it. Happy practicing!